The world is not in your books and maps. It's out there.
All good stories deserve embellishment.
You'll have a tale or two to tell of your own when you come back.
Can you promise that I will come back?
No. And if you do, you will not be the same.
How's it going, everybody? Great Say Geek here. I hope you guys like that intro a little bit. Like I said, not perfect, not really good at that stuff, but I want to do kind of a little fun intro for setting up Lord of the Rings Online here. So today I just kind of want to share a video of my experience going through from level 1 to about level 40. From the time of this recording, some of it's not going to be quite there yet, a couple levels under, but by the time this video is posted, I'll be at level 40 and I'll put in any new stuff from the last 2 levels if that's relevant, but pretty close. Okay, the other thing, this isn't a deep dive guide about every little thing from level 1 to 40. There's a lot of good channels out there, a lot of good stuff out there for that. Just wanted to share my experience and share some of the stuff that I've learned to make the experience better, and just share a little bit about my experiences in that level 1 through 40 range. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started and talk about a few things. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the character creation when you're just starting out. I obviously have a few characters, my main character here showing, and then I've created a couple of others just so when I get around to them, I already have them there. But we're gonna start just clicking new character, okay? Now, some of these I'm gonna have unlocked because I purchased some of the expansions and just purchased the classes in the LOTRO store. So if you don't have those, that's why, and I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But you have a lot of options you can choose from, which is awesome, right? Whatever your Lord of the Rings fantasy is, you want to play as the race of man, elves, which I know starting out too, you may not have access to the high elf, but you will have just the elf class. You've got dwarves. I know the stout dwarf is something that is unlocked, so you may not have that starting out. Said I don't have the river hobbit. I don't really have an interest in having the river hobbit, so I don't have the river hobbit unlocked, but you can just play as a regular hobbit, and I believe the Bjorning is also one that you're gonna have to unlock. But each of these classes as well, or each of these races have certain classes they can use. Now the race of man can pretty much use everything but a Bjorning. If you look over at the high elves, same thing. But if you look at the dwarf, they can't be a lore master or a mariner, right? So there are some restrictions of the class based on the race that you pick, which some of that makes sense, right? But you can kind of see what you want to play and what you want to do. Okay, for the sake of this, we'll just pick the top. We'll just pick the race of man, and you can kind of see just some example gear that just kind of shows you what potentially they can look like. And then obviously in the bottom right, it'll tell you how difficult the class is, what their role is usually, and a little bit of details about what inspired the class, a bit about their gameplay, which is really cool. So for this, we'll just go ahead and just for an example, just click Guardian. And then if you go to this, okay, you can see, you can actually select your origin of where you want your character to originate from. Do you want them to be, in this particular case, do you want this man to be from Bree, Dale, Gondor, Harad? You can actually pick a lot of different kingdoms, which is really cool, just for roleplay reasons. Okay, we'll say he's from Gondor because I love Gondor. You can obviously check different body sizes that you can kind of customize on the slider, and there's a whole plethora of options: skin color, head details, face details, eye details. You know, you can really customize your character in pretty good detail actually, which is awesome. You can really make your character look like how you want in Middle Earth. And then obviously you have presets you can cycle through as well if you so choose. I think they may have changed this. I think when I originally played, a lot of the character creation was kind of locked to what you chose, so that your character looks more authentic to the region that they're from. I don't know if that's changed or if that's, you know, they still have that to a degree, but that was one thing that was pretty cool. But I think that may have changed. Obviously, as you enter your name, you can make whatever name you want. A lot of people, I think, who play this game really try to make a name that fits in Middle Earth. And what's cool about when you select the origin, you also get common name endings and certain prefixes to help you kind of pick a name that fits that origin that you chose, which is really cool. But you can also click the randomize feature and just pick whichever one you want. There's also a few different tutorials. So you have Shadows of Angmar. Begin your adventure in the new user tutorial tailored to your character choices. Before the Shadow. Now this is the one that I did for my main character, so I can speak to this one a little bit more than than the rest of them. But you can to begin your adventure before the shadow in the peaceful village of Mossward located in Swanfleet. This was actually a pretty fun story. This is what I played through. So, but if you want to check out the Shadows of Angmar, or just skip the tutorial and you go straight into your beginning area that you normally would start by default. Okay, and it even tells you for men and hobbits, you have an area, and then obviously the elves and dwarves are going to have a different area that they're going to start in. So I'm actually going to enter Middle Earth with a new character, just because obviously my character, I wasn't recording all the way from level 1 to 40. So just to kind of show you a little bit of the intro area. Now this is the actual, if you were to create a character and skip the tutorial, this is where you'll go if you're an elf or a dwarf. Now obviously I'm going to look a little bit different because I have some stuff unlocked, some cosmetics unlocked from purchasing expansions. So you're not going to start out with all of this, obviously. But you kind of see your layout, the layout as well is also going to be different. Now, one of the things that was difficult for me to get into Lord of the Rings Online, but I know is an issue for a lot of you guys who may want to get into this, but are just put off with the UI and some of the layout issues, especially if you're playing on a monitor that's higher than 1080p. It's got a lot of problems as far as readability and clarity. I'm going to tell you guys how I deal with that, which is actually really great for me, but it is not a free thing to do. Okay, but it did fix basically my issues that I had with it as far as taking away the enjoyment, because I couldn't read anything. The UI was just not that good. Okay, now one of the important things, obviously this game has a lot of graphic settings you can tinker with. Okay, and you can kind of go through and set, you can even adjust a lot of parts of the UI, okay, to make things bigger. However, it doesn't always make it easier to read. One of the things you can do as well is you can actually, by clicking Control and then the button under the backspace, I forget, that has kind of a / button, you can actually move a lot of things around on the UI, which is great. You basically have full customization as far as what you want to move around. There is a lot of stuff. Obviously, not all of this stuff is going to pop up on the screen at one time, but you can kind of adjust it. If it does eventually pop up and you don't like where it's at, you can move it, which is cool. Just throw in there as a bonus, especially if you want to play on a desktop and then you also have a laptop or something else you're playing on the go of Lord of the Rings Online. Normally, if you save it a specific way on the desktop, it's going to come across that way on your laptop, but it's going to look a lot different. Okay, it's going to be a little wonky because it's still trying to adjust it to what you're playing on your desktop, which obviously isn't going to translate on a smaller screen or whatever it is you're playing. So it's going to look wonky. However, in the chat, if you type in the chat, let's say you get your layout how you want it, you can actually type / I believe it's UI layout save. And then you can just say whatever you want. So let's say I have 4K, it might be UI save layout. It's one of the two, but you get what I'm saying. When you play on your desktop, you can just do the same thing, but type load, UI layout load, or UI load layout, whatever one it is, and then the name that you named it, and it will just pop everything right back. And then if you go in your laptop, you can create a different UI, do the same thing, save a specific one for your laptop, load it. That way, when you go on your laptop, you don't have to keep moving things around. You can just pop it back up. Again, that's something you can look up if you need an extra guide on that, but something that's really helpful to do. Okay, now here's the big one. Okay, this is the biggest thing that's helped me. Now, if you go into your options, okay, now this is probably the biggest thing that's helped me for the clarity, for the just enhancing everything to make it bigger, make it fit a little bit better on a 4K screen. And that's going to be utilizing the program Lossless Scaling, which is a program you can purchase and download on Steam. Now, it doesn't cost very much, but it isn't free unless they put it on sale or something. It's normally not free. Okay. However, what that program does is it allows you to upscale your resolution. It also can utilize frame generation to increase frames, which is what I'm doing right now. And if you can see at the very top left of my screen, I'm actually running this at 118 FPS, but I have frame generation on and it's actually up at 235. But when we're in your options, with the very important thing you have to do if you're going to use this program is you have to set your screen mode to windowed. Okay. And I have the resolution set natively to 1440p. Now you may choose to do this at 1080p. Depending on which one you choose is going to change the layout a little bit as far as the readability and how it scales. So you just have to pick which one you like the best. But for me, on a 4K monitor, on a pretty large 30+ inch monitor, I like 1440p. Okay, and I'll kind of just scroll down if you want to have it look like how I have it, but the windowed mode and the full resolution is what you want to do. Advanced graphics, you can set that already to however you want. I have pretty much everything maxed out for the most part. Okay, my refresh rate, I have 240 because I have a 240 4 hertz monitor, and that's just my settings that you can kind of look at right there. So here I'm going to kind of have it set just to show you how to actually utilize it. Now, when you have those settings put, like I said, you're going to kind of look like it's going to kind of look like this. It's just going to be a windowed mode. Okay. Now, how lossless scaling works is you're going to open the program. Okay. So I'll kind of put it off to the side a little bit just so you can see on screen. Just so you can see on screen here. And these are the exact settings that I use for Lord of the Rings Online. Okay. So you can take a look at that if you want to have it scale, you want it to be exactly like I have it. However, there may be some differences as far as just your hardware that may change how you have to do this, but this is what I have. Again, I have a 4090 graphics card and like a Ryzen 9 7950X 3D, something like that, whatever it's actually called. So just to let you know. But how lossless scaling works is once you have lossless scaling open, okay, there's a big blue tab on the top right that says scale. Now, there's actually a shortcut way you can do this, but this is just the way that I do it, just because I've grown used to doing it this way. Once you click scale, it'll give you about 5 seconds to click into the program that you want to use. Okay. So when I click scale and then I click into the game, okay, the screen is going to change. Okay. Now what that should do is it should enhance the screen. It should actually take it up to full screen. You're going to have to then play with the UI, move it how you want it. Now I already have it where I want it, but it's going to allow it to be a lot bigger. Now it's not going to be as super clear as you can see, like in the top left, certain profile images, or whatever you call them, avatar images, are going to be very low resolution, but it does make things a bit more readable. Okay, now one of the biggest problems if you're going to do this method that I've had with Lord of the Rings Online specifically is once you scale it, you'll notice your cursor goes away. It's a weird bug. Maybe some of you guys who have done this know how to fix it, but there is a way around it. The biggest way I know to get around it is you press C, you open up your character sheet, and you kind of move your cursor around. And now you can see the cursor's back. And that was just me pressing C and just moving my mouse around until it shows up. Sometimes it just shows up immediately once you press your character sheet. But that's kind of been the biggest problem that I've had with it. But once it's there, it's always been there. It's never gone away unless I get out of the scaling and go back. The other thing with that, I would recommend if you haven't created a character before, I would create that character in windowed mode. That way you don't have to worry about the cursor disappearing on you. If you already have a character, I would go into that character, make sure the cursor is there, then log out of that character and make a new one. Okay, kind of weird, but it does help with just getting the layout a bit better. Same thing with like your bags and stuff, like they are bigger now. I can actually see what's in my inventory because of the scaling. It actually scales up much better. And also, fun fact, if you didn't know, you normally have multiple bags. You can actually click a little edit box in here. Yeah, edit mode. And you can actually move the rows into one bag. So it's all there. So fun fact for you on that. Okay, I know that was long, but obviously I just wanted to share a little bit about the UI and just how to help increase the layout, because that was the biggest thing that took me out of this game when I tried playing it a long time ago. But now that that's something that I've worked around, like this is fantastic for me. I've had no issues. Everything's looked really, really good. Now the scaling obviously is not going to be perfect 4K, but it looks good enough. Okay, it actually looks still pretty solid. And then of course, the last thing I would say with those settings, I had to turn frame generation on. Normally, you wouldn't think to do that, just scale it up, but the frames were not acting right. So that's why I added the frame generation, and it's run smooth ever since. Okay, and then real quick, I wanted to talk about the Lord of the Rings Online store. Now, this is kind of a mixed bag, I think, for a lot of people. Okay, there is a lot of stuff in the Lord of the Rings Online store. Okay, you can buy a lot of stuff. There are cosmetic things, but there are also things that do increase your experience gain and do increase a lot of convenient stuff that is in there. Okay, I'm not going to go through everything in the Lord of the Rings Online store. In fact, if you want deeper guides in Lord of the Rings Online, there's a lot of channels out there that do it better. The channel I'm going to recommend is Voice of the Rings. Voice of the Rings does a great job, has a lot of videos breaking down everything in the store and just a lot of other guides about the game. Fun fact, I'm also a part of his kinship, so really great channel. Shout out there. Go check out his channel for a more deeper guide on that. But I just want to share in this video, just understand that there are things in this store that you can use to help you throughout the game if you so choose. Okay, there are things that will help you increase your experience gain. You have stuff in there where you can purchase riding skills, increase your speed on your mounts. A lot of different things. Okay, inventory management, increasing your slots, increasing your wardrobe space, things like that are in the store. Okay, so however you feel about that, you're gonna feel about that. Now I look at this part of a, you know, I play mostly like PvE stuff, so for me it's just more about my own personal experience about how I want to progress through the game. Okay, now I will give this game a lot of credit, the sense that one of the things you can do in this game is you have things called deeds. They're like achievements that you can do in areas that actually give you LOTRO points. I think mostly it's about 5 LOTRO points, but there are a lot of them. So you can actually, if you want to be completely free to play, you can get currency to buy some of these things. Again, Voice of the Rings has a great guide on showing just things that are worth getting in the store and things you shouldn't waste your LOTRO points on. So check out that video. I'll try to have it linked in the description of this if you want to check that out. One of the things as well is about becoming a VIP. Now, if you go on their website, you can actually see all the benefits of being a VIP. One of the great things, I think you get like 500 LOTRO points a month for it. But you get a lot of just a lot of convenience things with becoming a VIP. So I'm a VIP in here because I enjoy the game, want to support them as much as I can. But that is something to be of note as well. You can play this game without being a VIP. I forget the level cap that you can get to. Completely free, but it is quite substantial. And then the other thing right now, I believe, is there's still a sale for Black Friday. A lot of the newer expansions are on sale. Now, the way it works, from my understanding, is if you are a VIP, it's not like how in some other MMOs you get access to everything except the current expansion. There are a few of the late in expansions that you do have to still purchase if you want to play those once you get there. Now, this is also a game where you can't just jump into the late end area without a boost. You do play from the beginning, so you may not worry about that until you're way further down the line as far as levels. I'm not there yet. Okay, however, just throwing that out there, some of those expansions, their ultimate fan bundle, do have items that do give you experience boost. Like right now I have a couple of earrings that give me plus 25% experience gain on monster kills, crafting, and quest completions. I also have a token of the Hornburg that does that, and then a back item, a shield, that also does that as well. So I have a lot of boost to help boost up my character, just because there is a lot of content to get through, and that will kind of lead into my next point as far as questing goes. So one of the things you're going to see, obviously, the title of this video said level 1 to level 40. The time I'm recording this, I'm 2 levels short of that, but by the time this level's posted, I'll get there, and I'm not expecting a lot of crazier things to happen in 2 more levels, but if it does, I'll put it in the video. One of the things I want to talk about is the questing experience in this game. The questing of Lord of the Rings Online is quite enjoyable. Okay, I think if you're going to play this game and you're interested in playing this game, having a love for Tolkien's world and enjoying the storytelling of the side quest, the main quest, is important. I like to read them and kind of immerse myself in Tolkien's world. A lot of good storytelling in here. Now, one of the things that's important to note in the main quest here, without any experience boosts, this is my experience, okay, maybe yours is different, could be unique to this campaign. One of the things that is important is to know that if you just go after the main quest, which I believe is called the epic quest in this game, you are going to reach points where it's not going to keep you leveled up to the level you need to be to continue the epic quest. Okay, you are going to get to points where the main quest will not appear, or that'll be like a grayed out ring on top of their head that shows you can't get that quest yet. Okay, so if you want to just go straight through the main quest, you're going to run into that issues. It's going to force you to do some side content, grind, killing mobs in the world, doing skirmishes, the extra things you can do. So just be aware of that. Now, that may change. That's part of the reason why I did got these experience boosters, is just so I can limit how much of that I do. Not because it's not enjoyable. There are a lot of good ones. It's just that I'm so far behind. I want to experience the epic story that I've never experienced before, and I can go back on other characters and slow it down and do things like that. But just understand that you might have to do some of that side stuff and just adventure in the world and have fun. Okay. The game will probably stop you sometimes from just going straight through into the next epic quest. Okay, but that again leads me to just how you're tracking quests. Now in Lord of the Rings Online quest, the epic quest is going to have like a burning one ring symbol above their head that shows you that this is kind of a main quest. And the way you can see it on my screen as well, okay, once you accept that quest, you'll have your like, just like a lot of other MMOs, you'll have a quest tracker. It'll tell you what your objective is, and then on your mini map you'll see this ring with an arrow that kind of tells you the direction that that quest is in. Now if I open up my map, you'll see just kind of in the middle here, there's like a burning ring. This is telling me where my objective is. Sometimes it'll be a different color area that'll highlight over the map to tell you that this is the area you need to be in. Sometimes the questing where you're supposed to go can be a little bit confusing, because once you, let's say, get close to an area where your objective is, you're not going to have on your mini map a different colored ring, okay, separate from all the side quest rings. So you'll have to kind of get to that area and then search for that person that has that golden ring above their head that shows that this is where you're supposed to go for the main quest. Okay, so same thing for pretty much any of the quests. You just have to kind of search for them a little bit as far as who you're supposed to talk to, where you're supposed to go. So just keep in mind of that. It can be sometimes a bit confusing, but that is something that can happen. Now another thing as well to keep note of is going back to when you get to the main part in the epic story where you can't proceed further because you're too under level. To my understanding, and please let me know if I'm wrong or there's something that can assist with this, without going online and looking up the location of where you're at in the quest, the game does not do a very good job at, once you do hit the level to continue on, to tell you where that spot is. Okay, so sometimes it is very easy to lose where you're supposed to be at for that quest that you're now at the right level of. So unless you make a note of that in your head of like, oh, okay, I need to talk to Elrond, I need to talk to Gloin, okay, he's in the Misty Mountain, he's wherever he is, you kind of need to take note of that, because if you do forget, it might be a little bit pain in the butt to go online and try to figure out what the last quest you did is. So that's something I wish they would improve and fix, of just some type of quest pop up or something that says, hey, you can now go talk to this person, okay, and this is where he is. One of the things you can do as well, this kind of goes back to the store, there are, I think they're called mithril coins. You can actually use these to instantly travel to some quest givers when you've completed the quest. You can actually click on it, it'll teleport you there. That's another one of those like convenience things that you can buy, but you don't have to, okay, especially if you want to adventure through the world. Now my experience with the epic quest has, for again, the Before the Shadow beginning section was really good. It was actually really fun. You do meet some familiar characters in Lord of the Rings, and you do get to see a different perspective of some of the things that's going on in Eriador during this time, and kind of investigating kind of the rise of Sauron and betrayal of Saruman as you're going through a different perspective, which is really cool. You fight a lot of different enemy types. This game has a lot of different enemy types. You do kind of traditionally with that MMO stuff, you fight a lot of animals. There are low level things, but you fight a lot of different orcs, trolls, urukai, you know, all kinds of Lord of the Rings creatures, even in the beginning, you know, first 40 levels, which is really cool. Now I am not there yet. The furthest point I have gotten to is kind of the Misty Mountains area. But I believe the first expansion is the Mines of Moria. I think that's eventually what I'm going to get into. But again, like I said before, this game does have you progress from level 1 up to, I think it's level 150 right now, maybe 160 is what it's getting to. Okay, but you do have that level gate. It's not like Elder Scrolls Online where you can go wherever you want, and it just scales to you. You do start this from the beginning and adventure all the way through. So there is a lot of content to get through, which is great if you're looking for a new MMO or a new game that has hundreds of hours of gameplay and things you can do on it. That part is here. Okay, so let's take a look too at some of the stuff as far as things you can do in this game other than your main quest. And your side quests and adventuring in the world. Now, the stuff that I have done from level 1 to 40, and I should have mentioned this before, this is not a deep dive guide on everything you can do. This is just my experience of playing 1 through 40 with the game and sharing that with you guys. Okay, so the instance finder, once you unlock it, there's actually a lot of things you can do solo, which is actually kind of fun. Your epic battles. Okay, these are not dungeons. These are actually like certain battles that I've only done a few of them that take you to Helm's Deep or Minas Tirith. And there's certain objectives in these larger scale battles that you can do. The Helm's Deep one that I did, the parts that the ones that I have done already, has you defending Helm's Dyke, right? That was the first one from the Urukai. Have different objectives you can do, which is really cool. Fun way to get experience. Changes it up a little bit, but you can do these with multiple people, but I did it by myself. Now instances, these are like your traditional dungeons. Okay, fun fact, I have not done any of these yet. However, they are there, that you can do with a kinship or with other people if you want to do that. Okay, which eventually I will do. Now with non-scaling instances, I haven't really done that either, so I'm not going to talk much about that, or seasonal. The other things I have done a lot are skirmishes. Now these are also things you can do by yourself that are a much smaller scale battle, but some of them are really cool, like the Doom of Keras Gillibrand, which actually takes you back to basically like the siege of like Aragion or whatever it's called, and where Sauron's coming for the rings and slays Celebrimbor, right? So that one's actually a really fun one, but they take you to different periods, either were you playing defensively or offensively. Okay, and these are a great way to play by yourself to get some additional experience if you're stuck waiting for that next epic quest mission, and you don't want to do any side quests or anything like that. You can do these skirmishes. You can also do them with other people, and you can also change right up here the size of if you're doing it with one person, 2, 3, 6, 12, or 24, and you can also change the tier, which I believe is like increasing the difficulty on it. That does give you more rewards specific to skirmishes, so something you can look at as well. And one thing I noticed, we're talking about a character sheet. Okay, very traditionally, you have all of your stats that you can look at, different slots for your gear. Now you also have cosmetic outfits, and this is what I'm wearing currently, but you have your equipment outfit, you have different outfits you can put, but then obviously some of them are locked that you do have to purchase additional slots if you want easy outfits you can switch between. And then you just click down here, it'll just be like, you can click on the button and it'll change to that outfit. So if you want to keep your cosmetics. Now with that, one thing I've learned in this game is it's not like if you've played World of Warcraft, where once you get the item, it saves it in your collections and then you can just go to a transmog thing and switch it. In this, it either has to be in your inventory from my understanding, or you actually have to put it into your wardrobe, which has a limited space. So in that wardrobe, you're going to have to probably purchase additional wardrobe slots if you want to fit more things in there. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, if you want to clear out your inventory, you can put it into your bank. That's also something you could do, but it does have to be somewhere where you can move it into your cosmetics. So I wish that was a little bit better, just to make the transmog a little bit easier to use, where I don't have to worry about space for items, but that is something to be mindful of. But you can also can unlock and get auras that you can put on your weapons, which are kind of cool, that I obviously have on my character right now. You can kind of see 3 different auras on my weapons. You can turn that off, you don't have to use them, but it is kind of a cool thing you can do. Okay, but then of course you obviously have your skills that you can access. Each class has a lot of different things to do, so there is a lot of variety in this game. I'm playing the hunter for my main character, having a lot of fun with the hunter. I also like that you do wield melee weapons as well. I don't use them a lot. I don't have a lot of skills that use them a lot, but it is cool that I don't just carry a bow around. I also have dual swords or a sword and dagger or something like that, which is kind of a cool cosmetic thing to have. But each class has 3 different skill trees, basically, or like class options that range from like more DPS, or maybe you have a tank tree, something that's a little bit better. I actually have a point available, which I'll use later for leveling up. But you can go through whatever skill tree you want. Now I'm kind of going in solely on Bowmaster right now in the Hunter. From my understanding, once you select a tree, if you get abilities from a different tree, it costs more points to use. So I'm kind of waiting to do that at the end when I've gotten everything I want on Bowmaster. But you also get race traits that eventually unlock. So you can see I also opened up a 5th slot, but you can drag and drop these race traits that give you different abilities depending on your race. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then this one's a big one. This is like virtue traits. Again, Voice of the Rings has a great breakdown on which one you should use. I went online to find which one I should be using. Okay, but you can kind of actually click on these, and these give you different bonuses, okay, as you increase your virtue. Okay, so as you're leveling up through the world, as you're getting things that boost your virtue experience, some items even say, hey, this will grant you, like I think I have one here. Every day I log in, you kind of get a free gift. Okay, 150 virtue XP. So I click that, you just saw determination went up a little bit. Okay, so these things give you stats. From my understanding too, if you unlock one, it does always give you a passive bonus, even if you don't have any equipped on your bar. But the ones that are equipped, you do get additional bonuses for your character. So don't forget about these if you're playing. Okay, don't push virtues aside. I played this game for a while, not even realizing this was important, realizing I could have equipped some of these or clicked on some that I wanted to earn. Okay, but that's something to just keep in mind as far as character development is something to look at. Okay, but yeah, I know that was a lot of stuff that was just more knowledge-based stuff, but I think a lot of that is important to know when you're starting out in this game. That I've learned from my level 1 to 40 experience, especially the UI stuff was the big one for me. That's actually allowed me to play this longer and actually be able to look past the UI mess and actually get more invested into the game. That was a big one for me. So again, just kind of talking about just my level 1 to level 40 experience. There's a lot of good stuff in Lord of the Rings Online. I've played WoW, I've played ESO, I played Final Fantasy 14. I played them quite a bit, and I kind of fell off of them a little bit. I was kind of looking for a different MMO that I could really get into and invest my time in and just immerse myself in that world. And Lord of the Rings is my favorite IP of all time. So for me, giving Lord of the Rings Online another go, it is dated. Don't get me wrong. It's older. It's got a little bit of jank to it. Okay. The animations sometimes moving around, like it does have a little bit of jank to it. Okay. It is older, but it is still a really, really good MMO for just wanting to immerse yourself in a unique world. And you come across stuff all the time. I think while I was recording stuff yesterday, I ran across like a group of people that basically had like an orchestra going on in the middle of Bree, which was really cool. You know, I sat and kind of listened to it for a little bit. But there's a lot of different things you can immerse yourself in, whether it's crafting. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you just want to be more of a warrior, go through an adventure. You can do that. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do, even from level 1 to level 40. That's kept me going. Another thing, this game does have a lot of areas that you can explore Middle Earth, with more that they add all the time. Okay, now from level 1 through 40, I basically stayed in the area door zone or area that has a lot of different zones in it, a lot of different unique locales, and just a lot of diversity when it comes to locations and enemies and creatures. And it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, to be honest. And I'm glad I gave this one another shot. Like I said, I've gone through a lot of skirmishes. I've done that a lot. I'm going through the epic battles. And there's still a lot of people that play. Like I said, I started following and watching Voice of the Rings videos, and so I joined his kinship. Really great kinship, kind of a plug in there for his kinship, but a lot of good stuff there as far as people you can find to help you. And so far, everyone's been very friendly as well. Like if you really want to deep dive into it and min-max, do everything you can in the game, there are a lot of people out there that are willing to help, that love this game, love Lord of the Rings, and want the game to continue. Lord of the Rings Online, probably one of the most fun MMOs I've played, just immersing yourself in the world and story. If that's a big thing for you, I think you're really going to enjoy Lord of the Rings Online. It kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy 14 in the sense that it's not quite as story heavy the way that tells a story, but it still is very story heavy, and you can follow along the epic quest and really read into the story. And just the side quests of the world, it feels alive. It feels like you're actually in Tolkien's world, which is really fun. Okay, side questing is good. Now, there are some side quests that, you know, traditionally MMO side quests that maybe you don't want to go gather mushrooms, but you don't have to do them. There are a lot of quests, so you can kind of pick and choose which ones you want to do. Maybe it's just you care more about the reward. And so there are a lot of stuff you can do in each zone, which is really nice. And the graphics still do hold up. Like I said, it's not perfect. It is older, but it's not terrible either. I think the art style and just the direction of the game makes it still look really good, even for what it is. Even if it's a little bit more dated, it still does look pretty good and feels like I'm in Middle Earth, which that's what I'm looking for, right? I should have talked about this before. Some items that you do get if you buy expansions or you buy things from the store, some of them are character bound, some of them are account bound. Some of them are things that you'll get on the character that you open that item on, and you'll have to put it in your shared storage so that if you play on another character, they can access it. That's kind of how they do with like some account stuff. It doesn't always appear on every character. You have to share it across your characters, but that's something to keep note of as well. And I think for those of you who are playing in North America, I play on Glamdring. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Glamdring is one of the, if not the most populated one in North America, it's probably one of the most. So if you're looking for which server you want to create a character on, that's the one I would recommend. But yeah, I just want to share a quick video. This is actually probably a little bit longer than I expected it to be, but I just want to share my thoughts on level 1 through level 40, and they're very, 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 very positive. I'll probably do another video once I get maybe another 30 or 40 levels, just to see kind of what like the early middle experience is like, and see how I feel kind of throughout the middle. But so far, like for an MMO where I just want to immerse myself in a world, be able to, you can play this game solo. I've been playing this mostly solo, even though I recently joined a kinship. I've been playing mostly solo, and it's been a great experience. I feel like I actually am a character. I've made a character in Middle Earth, going on you know, the character's own adventure, you know, whatever it is you want to do, which is really cool. At the end of the day, it's a great MMO. Even though it's a bit dated, it's still worth a shot, especially if you're in the market looking for a new one. And you haven't tried Lord of the Rings Online, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And if you're a fan of Tolkien's world, hell, even the Peter Jackson movies, obviously this is not in the same style as Peter Jackson's movie, so the characters are not going to look the same. However, even if you're a fan of that, I think you will really find a lot of enjoyment in this game if you give it a whirl. So, and for those of you who watch this video and try it out because of it, let me know what you guys end up thinking. If you try that lossless scaling method, let me know if it works for you. I'll try to answer questions in the comments. If you do have something that's not working right, I'll do my best to answer that as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys on the next one.